Good morning. Welcome to Viking Preparedness. I am Pastor Joe Fox. You know, we teach in the infantry and other places that when one is building a defensive position, when one is getting ready for, an enemy attack, if you will, you never stop improving your position. You are constantly making it better. And so that kind of works for preparedness too, right? It's like we are preparing a defense against whatever it is we perceive is coming down the pike, and we want to be prepared to meet that challenge. And so when is enough preparedness enough? It never is. You're constantly improving, tweaking, making things better as far as your position goes. And so what is preparedness, right? What kind of preparedness do we have to get ready for? And that all depends on again, what we see coming down the pike. And there's physical preparedness, you're buying your beans and your bullets and, your gold, whatever, that stuff like that. But there's also spiritual preparedness. And, that is the most important preparedness that you have to do. And so how do you constantly improve yourself from a spiritual preparedness, that's hard for me to say, standpoint? And there's a number of ways, right? You have to continue to study, and in my case, I study the Word of the Most High Yah, and you work with other people and things like that. And so a tactic, a technique, a procedure, take your pick for that. Something that works for me is this. It's the Book of Proverbs. The Book of Proverbs, it's about the middle of your Bible, right? It has 31 chapters, if you will. And so every day you can read the chapter that corresponds with that day. Today's the 31st, so you read the 31st chapter. And the 31st chapter of Proverbs is famous, right? Go look at it if you don't know. A Proverbs 31 woman, right? And it talks about a virtuous woman and all her characteristics. And the word virtuous in English doesn't really get it. Virtuous for us is mostly about sexual purity, right? I mean, that's kind of how we look at it. But virtuous in the way it was written in Hebrew has to do with all moral correctness, all just a good woman, if you will, right? That's a good woman, a Proverbs 31 woman. And so there's a lot of things in there that you sisters out there, you women out there, can learn from a Proverbs 31 woman. And I suggest you go read it. But it's not just for women. Because to have a good woman, to rate a good woman, you have to be a certain kind of man. And they spend, the writer of Proverbs 31 spends a little bit of time discussing, very little, but discussing the man that the Proverbs 31 woman has. And so the bottom line is this: if you want a good woman, brothers, you got to be a good man. You want a righteous woman, you got to be a righteous man. And so there's things for all of us to learn. You're not going to have a woman who gets up before dawn and works until after the sun goes down if you're some lazy sod that's, lays around in bed all day and then gets up and opens up a bottle of Jack Daniels and watches Oprah or Jerry or, whatever online. You got to be a good man too. And so there's things we can all learn from that. So hey, tomorrow's the 1st. Open up your Word, read Proverbs 1. And in that way, every month, you're reading through them all. What about months that only have 30 days? You can read the 31st proverb also on the 30th, And that's not the only Bible study you want to do, but that's just a good thing to do. And then what I like to do is read that proverb in the morning when I first get up. It's one of the first things I read. And then it lets me think about it for the rest of the day. Typically, I'll get up and go take a run or something, and those words are ringing in my head, and then, the Most High gets to work them through my brain so that I get something, hopefully, deeper out of it. All right, a technique for you, maybe to use. I'll see you out there.